Okay, I think we'll start now. We have 34 prospective candidates, or 35 now, right? Well, we'll have to start now and let others join us. They are able to. So today's lecture is on the IESL Code of Ethics under the B paper, Professional Review B paper lecture series. I don't normally take this lecture. You may have noticed that it's normally taken by Mr. Russell De Silva, Engineer Russell De Silva, who has been conducting the lectures for many years. He's not too well, so I was asked to stand in for him, hopefully for only this time until he recovers. Okay, so bear with me. I want to, at the beginning itself, tell you that there is a recorded lecture by Mr. Russell De Silva, a long one, about I think 2 hours or so. It's very good, actually, very comprehensive, right? So if you do get the time, I hope you do get the time because it's an exam, go through it, right? I think it must be available on the at our website, or you can request a membership to share it with you. Okay, so now so I'll be talking about, I hope I'll take about a little over 1 hour, Introduction to Ethics and Codes of Ethics, the IESL Code of Ethics, which is the gist of the lecture, and then Registration of Engineering Practitioners and the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka, Code of Conduct for Engineering Practitioners in Sri Lanka, that is by the ECSL Code of Ethics, and a comparison of IESL Code of Ethics with the codes of ethics of some international engineering professional bodies and the ECSL. And we'll be looking at some case situations where you face ethical dilemmas and try and see how you can best handle those situations. Okay. So what is ethics? We talk about ethics, and I'm sure you have those who are facing the PR these days. I think you would have already done a course in ethics in most of the faculties of engineering because it's now it's a part of the curriculum. So these things may be already familiar with you. So ethics is an area of study that deals with ideas about what is good and bad behavior, a branch of philosophy dealing with what is morally right or wrong. That's according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And another way of defining ethics is, it says, the value structure that guides the actions of a person, whether individual or corporate, in his or her or their dealings with any other person or with society in general. So it is, as far as professional ethics are concerned, the second meaning, I think, second definition has more meaning because it's a set of guidelines which gives us direction on how to handle situations when dealing with other people and the society in general, right? So it's a way of, it's something like the law, which is trying to balance the pros and cons of a situation and deal with it, right? So why do we need the code of ethics? The main reason is to have a common understanding of the accepted good and bad behavior pertaining to a certain group. It can be a professional group, it can be a social group, a religious group, ethnic group, right? So actually when I was trying to find out the meaning, the singular meaning of ethics, it says Achara Dharma. Right? And when I was teaching this subject at the University of Moratuwa, I asked the Tamil students what is the meaning of ethics, and they said Achara Dharmam. The Tamil meaning is also the same as Sinhala meaning Achara Dharmam. Right? So it is the behavior, the correct or the good behavior, right? Achara Dharma that guides the behavior of a group of people. So in the case of religion, now we know if you are a Buddhist, we have the council that will be the main code of ethics for Buddhist behavior, and the Christians, I think, have the 10 Commandments. So each group, as the group gets mature, they realize that you need some sort of principles for guiding the behavior or the conduct of their members, right? So that's how the code of ethics starts. Even at the IESL, do you know when, I don't have to say, do you know, can you tell me when the IESL was started? Anyone, if you can unmute yourself and say when the IESL was started, please.
1906, ma'am.
1906, yes. Yeah, so IESL was started in 1906 as the Engineering Association of Sri Lanka, of Ceylon, but actually the Code of Ethics came into being much later in 1980s, right? So up to that time, I mean, everyone was doing the right thing more or less, but then there was no need for, there was no one actually thought about having a code of ethics per se. But then, of course, the council had decided that we need a code of ethics to guide the operations under the IESL, and it was formed. The code of ethics was formed, and of course, it has been revised on several occasions. The current one is what we are having in effect now. So the code of ethics, why have a code of ethics? Is to establish a benchmark among the group members in respect of their dealings with any other person or with society in general, right? So, because we can then say there's a common rule or measure for behavior. Sorry about that. So the IESL Code of Ethics is available in the IESL homepage under membership, right? So I hope you have already had a look at it. It has 8 clauses, and each clause has several rules to explain the application to situations, because the clauses by themselves are difficult to be, because now the code of ethics is not something that you memorize and then repeat, right? It's a way you should be behaving in our professional work, right? So remembering it is not enough. Remembering it is important, because then only it will come to mind when you are faced with a dilemma situation. But more than that, it's application. So we have to understand what those clauses actually mean when it applies to our work, right? So there are rules to try and explain these clauses. And all members of IESL, particularly the chartered engineers, but not only chartered engineers, any member, are expected to conduct themselves professionally according to the code of ethics, right? Especially, if you have come for the induction ceremony of chartered engineers, you'd have seen that it's like taking an oath. We have to state the 8 clauses and say that we will abide by those clauses, right? So it's a something like an oath that chartered engineers take. But even if you're not a chartered engineer, if you're a member of IESL, you have to abide by the code of ethics. And if any member is reported to behave in violation of the code of ethics, he or she will be dealt with according to the disciplinary procedures of the IESL. Now, I put it in red because it's important. It's not just it's not like Pansil where Buddhists are expected to behave that way, but there's no punishment per se. Punishment comes with the karma vipaka and all that. But as a Buddhist, the priests are not, for a layman, the priests are not going to punish you, right? But as you know, the clergy are different. If a clergy or a priest does something that is not according to the precepts that they have taken, the body as a the church or the Dhamma Sasana, the head prelates and all that, they can take action. So similarly, the IESL Code of Ethics is there for the members. It is something that we have to abide by. And if there is a violation and if it is reported to the IESL that this member is working against the Code of Ethics, disciplinary action will be taken. And the disciplinary procedures are also established. It's there again in the website. So, but if it is an outside person doing something, non-member of IESL has no say. Then it will have to be taken legally. If it's against the law of the country, the legal action will be taken. But IESL cannot take action on a non-member. But if it is a member, IESL can take action and punishments be given according to there'll be a certain procedure that disciplinary procedures are established. And probably the worst disciplinary punishment will be taking away your membership. So you won't be able to practice as an engineer, right? So that is important to remember, right? Code of ethics is not just something that is that is there as a as one of those things that you can get away with. Okay, so as I said, there are 8 clauses. First clause is, let's take this away. Engineers shall hold paramount the health, safety, and welfare of the public and proper utilization of the funds and other resources in the performance of their professional duties. It shall take precedence over their responsibility to the profession, sectoral or private interests, employers, or to other engineers, right? Now, this clause, it's good if you can remember the words, but you are not expected to remember word by word. But you must remember that the first clause is about our responsibility towards people, the public, right? So under that clause, to explain the situations where it can be an engineer might come across this, there are 9 rules that have been given. First one is An engineer shall be objective and truthful in writing professional reports, issuing statements, or submitting testimony. They shall include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony. So that it's about being truthful in your reporting of the the work that you're doing. Like if you are, as engineers, we have to write reports and reports and reports on, say, the design reports and all those things. So all those things, you should be truthful. You should not hide facts, right? That's first one. Second one is, shall endeavor at all times to maintain engineering services essential to public welfare. Because engineering, as we often say, is a people-serving profession, right? So we deal with things that are directly affecting the people, society. So we must endeavor at all times to maintain engineering services essential to public welfare. The third rule under clause 1 is, shall work in conformity with recognized engineering standards so as not to jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Right? So we must, there are, a part of our training is actually knowing these different standards of design standards, codes, and all those things. So those are there to safeguard, there are safety factors that you have to apply and all that. So those things have to be maintained in your work, in designs and construction. Because if you do not adhere to those standards, it will jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of the public, right? So now these things, actually now all of you are practicing engineers, I believe, or there may be some academics. When the best way to remember is to think about your own work when you're reading these, or when I'm talking about this, think of how it affects your work, and then it will stick to your head, I believe. So the next one is, shall not participate in assignments that would create conflict of interest between their clients, employers, and the public, and shall advise the client of their concerns. That's about conflict of interest, whether you are having something to do with the another party, right? Fifth one is, shall, in the event of their judgment being overruled in matters pertaining to health, safety, and welfare of the community, inform their clients or employers of the possible consequences and bring to the clients or employers' notice their obligations as a professional to inform the relevant authority. So you must be convinced that what you are doing is actually not harmful to the public as well as to the client and the employer, right? So if you feel that there's something wrong in the design, or if there's something wrong in whatever you're being asked to do, you must bring it to the notice of the employer or the client or whoever is being affected. Shall contribute to public discussion on engineering matters in their areas of competence, if they consider that by so doing, they can constructively advance the well-being of the community. Now, this is something that we normally shy away from, unless if you are really pinpointed or you are the head of a organization, you try to keep away from talking about matters that personally you may feel that is not done properly, but according to the code of ethics, you are expected to get involved in public discussions, right? That's why now IESL has the different forums to discuss these things and come out with recommendations and advise sometimes press notices, because it's as as members of a professional body, if we feel that something has to be brought to the notice of the public or the government or whoever is responsible, it is our duty to do that, right? That's why, so as engineers, I'm requesting you to be, if there are concerns, be a part of the solution, be a part of the discussion that really help to shape the future, or shape the development that is going on, without just taking a back seat and saying, oh, let them do it. It's not none of my business. It is our business, right? Because it's we are expected to give advice where it is relevant to our specialty. 1.7 is having knowledge of any alleged violation of this code by others shall cooperate with the proper authorities in furnishing such information or assistance as may be required. Now, this is something it's important because, again, something that we try to avoid by saying, oh, let them do it, it's none of my business. I have to look after my, only my little, the part of the design that I am doing, or it's the part of the construction that I am doing, or whatever other thing that as an engineer you're doing. However, if you, while doing your job, if you see that something that is not quite correct is happening, that will affect the public, because our main concern out of all these clauses is the people. We are a people serving profession, right? So if there is something that's going to affect the people or the public, we should take action. That's what is called whistleblowing, right? You should not be just keeping quiet. Okay? Rule number 1.8 is, shall not knowingly participate in any act which will result in waste or misappropriation of public funds, right? So that, I think that's quite clear. We should, when I was a student, long time ago, one of our lecturers used to say, an engineer is a person who can do with $1 what any damn fool can do for 2. Right, so we economy should be in our heart, or that should be a very important part of what we are doing, right? So we should try and economize, because it's not our money, it's the people's money, or somebody's money, right? Sometimes we tend to think that, okay, I will save my money, but then it's somebody else's money. Let them, if they want, let them spend it on whatever, right? As an engineer, it is our duty to show them. If they still want to go ahead and do it, I guess we probably may not be able to control if it's a private money. But public money, definitely we have to waste. Application of technology shall, where appropriate, recognize the need to identify, inform, and consult affected parties to help resolve problems involved, right? So this means that there should be a dialogue. You should not be just do your design, go and plant it there. There should be discussion, there should be dialogue between the users and the stakeholders, so that the final product is something that's useful, that's usable, right? So So the last one is about dialogue, so that the people who are the recipients of your whatever your idea, your product, whatever, will be will getting their value for money, and also they will understand, appreciate, and use whatever is being done. Okay, so that's as far as the clause 1 is concerned. It's about people, the public, right? And that is of paramount importance. The first thing is that we are serving the people. Whatever we do, it's a public that we are aiming at, right? So the second clause is about the honor of the profession. Engineers shall always act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the profession while safeguarding public interest at all times. Now here again you can see while safeguarding public interest at all times, that is because that's a paramount one. Clause 1 is taking precedence over clause 2. We want to maintain the honor of the profession, but not at the expense of the public, right? So rule point 2.1 is of course about dishonesty, that it's a bad thing in whatever form we are dealing with. Shall not involve themselves with any business or professional practice which they know to be fraudulent or dishonest in nature, right? Second one is shall not associate with other persons, corporations, or partnerships to conceal unethical acts. So that is like, I am so and so, so and so, so and so, therefore I can do this. No, it is not ethical, right? So you have to, you should not hide behind names, hide behind connections to do unethical acts. Third one is integrity. Shall not continue in partnership with or act in professional matters with any engineer who has been removed from membership of this institution because of improper conduct. Now this is a bit tricky, but what it says is that it's not that you can associate as a personal friend or family member. I mean, you don't have to dissociate like that, but you should not be working in your profession with someone who has been removed from the institution membership due to improper conduct, right? Fourth one is shall promote the principle of engagement of engineers upon the basis of merit. So there should not be favoritism, nepotism, and all those things should not be there in decision making. It has to be purely on merit, right? Meritocracy. Fifth one is shall uphold the principle of adequate and appropriate remuneration for professional engineering staff in keeping with their qualifications and market price. So it's a fair payment for engineering staff. Now this is something that sometimes you tend to ignore again, but you must make sure that anyone who is doing an engineering job is paid properly. Right? There have been cases where engineers, trade unions are there, but as a professional engineer, you yourself should make sure that your juniors are being paid well if you are employing anyone, or if you see that engineers are not being remunerated at the market rate, we have to act and make sure that that is corrected. Okay, so that again is is in our code of ethics. It's coming under honor of the profession, right? Second clause. Okay, the third clause is from me. Engineers shall be committed to the need for sustainable management of the planet's resources and seek to minimize adverse environmental impacts of their engineering works, or applications of technology so as to protect both present and future generations. Now, this is really up my path because I'm an environmental engineer. Anyway, all engineers should, I'm sure you all are in agreement with this, we should be working towards sustainable development. We have only one planet and resources are depleting at a very high rate. And there are so many other environmental problems like global warming, climate change and all that. So those should be, now there is no way to ignore or forget about the environmental impacts of what we do, right? So whatever we are doing as engineers, we do a lot as engineers that is affecting the planet's resources, right? So every time we build a dam, build a road, build a building, or not only that, I mean, even machinery, the amount of energy that is used, everything we do, whatever your field of engineering you are in, we are affecting the planet's resources, right? So we are the culprits and we are the ones who can save also by taking proper action, right? So it is very important. We, in fact, a few years ago when we were revising or reviewing the code of ethics, we brought this up front. It was like 8 clause 8, 7 or 8. We brought this up because it's high time that we drill it into our professionals' heads that we can't move away from sustainable development and resource conservation, right? So rule number 3.1 is environmental impact mitigation. Shall carefully evaluate adverse environmental impacts and incorporate practical remedial measures to minimize them, right? Second one is environmental protection. Shall consider theoretical, legislative, regulatory and policy aspects of environmental protection and sustainable management of the available resources. Third one is cooperation for sustainable development achievement. So it's not only us, not only the engineers, there we have to work with other professionals because there are the scientists, the town planners, the architects, everyone, sociology, everyone will have to be consulted and we have to work together with them because sustainable development is not just one profession's work, it is every professional's responsibility. Then environmental impact assessment shall critically analyze how the proposed project or the application of technology relates to sustainability considerations, right? So depending on what you are doing, you have to be conscious about the environmental impacts, and there are certain things that require environmental impact assessment full-blown. Sometimes it may be just in initial environmental examination. Even otherwise, whatever you are doing, it should be in your mind because environmental impacts are going to be environmental impacts and impacts on the environment and sustainability issues are going to be number one criterion in the near future. Rule 3.5 is about waste minimization, reuse, recovery, and safe disposal. Right? So, shall identify and assess options for material recovery and disposal, again, in whatever field you are working in. Last one is about conservation. Shall analyze opportunities for resource and energy conservation and design appropriately optimized systems, right? It should be in the mainstream of your designs. Okay, clause 4 says own achievements. Engineers shall build their reputation on merit and shall not compete unfairly. Right? So that is, every engineer has a unique what do you say, ability, right? You don't just become an engineer with nothing. You have achieved a lot of abilities, skills, knowledge, right? Now, you should be able to work with that. And if you feel that something is lacking, something you need to improve yourself, you must improve your, there are so many opportunities for improving your knowledge, skills, and all that, right? So you should not be just unfairly competing. If you want to compete, gain the required skills and then compete. That's what you use your own achievements to gain a name, gain jobs or whatever, right? Shall pay neither pay nor offer directly or indirectly inducements to others. Okay, so that's bribery. You should not be doing that. That's understood. And no undercutting. Shall not attempt to supplant another engineer employed or consulting who has been appointed without his consent. Now you should not displace another person unfairly. Misrepresentation. Shall neither falsify nor misrepresent their own or others' qualifications, experience, and prior responsibilities. Right? Fourth one is, shall not maliciously do anything to tarnish, directly or indirectly, the reputation, prospects, or business of others. Shall not use the advantage of a privileged position to compete unfairly with other engineers. You may be the boss's son or whatever, but that should not give you an additional advantage when it comes to, work. Modesty. Shall exercise due restraint in explaining their own work and shall refrain from unfair criticism of the work of other engineers. Now, don't get this mixed up with, promoting yourself, advertising yourself. That's not a bad thing. But do it modestly so that you're not blowing up your own image and then diminishing the others, right? As they say, if you don't blow your own trumpet, no one else will. It's okay to blow your own trumpet, but make sure that the others are not deafened by it. Um, 4.7 is, shall give proper credit for professional work to those to whom credit is due. Acknowledge whatever your, you may be borrowing things from a person, but make sure that they get acknowledged. 4.8 is a bit long about no copying. So this is where you can see about plagiarism. If you're copying something, make sure that you acknowledge and all that, right? Acknowledgement of reference without saying that it's your own work, right? So that is about competing with your own merit. Then last one is, I think it's the last one, shall act with due regard to intellectual property rights of others in their work, right? You should not be stealing the intellectual property. Oh, that's another one. And shall not engage in unfair competition, including charging of extremely high or low professional fees compared to market rates in delivering professional services. I think that's understood, right? You should not be either charging very high rates or very low rates to being unfair by when you're providing a service. Okay, so up to now we have done half the clauses. How do you feel? Anyone wants to comment on anything? Any questions so far? You can unmute yourself. Or actually, you can use the chat if you want to ask something, right? Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks. So clause 5 is specialization only in competent areas. Engineers shall perform professional services only in the areas of their competence. So there are only two clauses here, I think, two rules. Shall undertake assignments only when qualified by education and experience in the specific technical fields involved. If an assignment requires qualifications and experience outside their fields of competence, they shall engage competent professionals with necessary qualifications and experience and keep the employers and clients informed of such arrangements. Right. So if you're a civil engineer who is specializing in water and there's a structure also coming in the project, you can always get the services of a structural engineer. If it is, if it's just a 2 or 3 story building which you are competent to design and construct, that's fine. If it's something that beyond your competency, you should not try and do it yourself unless if you're trained and experienced in that. You should get someone who is qualified to do that, right? Now, for example, now I have a civil engineer, graduated as a civil engineer, but I have not done any structures after about 2 or 3 after years of graduation. So I wouldn't dare take a design, even a 2-story building, I wouldn't design because I know I'm not competent, right? I don't have the experience. But if I have to do it, I will get for example, even if I, now of course I don't do it, but when I was in the professional review, if there's a structural report that is submitted, I will not do it. I will get a structural engineer to check the design report, right? Now, again, now these days I get involved with in these disciplinary committees. Again, if there's a issue with an engineer who's been allegedly done something wrong with the design, I will make sure that my panel has a experienced, competent structural engineer in my panel who will be able to look at that part. But as the chairman, probably I have things that I have my competence to do, right? So like that, it's not ethical for you to try and do something that you are not qualified or trained and experienced to do, right? Within your own assignment, if there is something that has to be done by another person, get the services of the relevant competent person. 5.2 is about honesty. Shall not affix their signature to any designs or documents dealing with subject matter in which they lack competence, or to any plan or document not prepared under their direction or control. Now, this is something that we keep seeing actually, happening. You have to give a value to your signature. You should not be just signing just because someone comes and asks you. Your signature has a value. If you're a engineer, chartered engineer, you will get a seal, and if there's a value for that. But even otherwise, when you sign something, make sure that you take the responsibility of whatever you're signing for, right? That amounts to honesty, actually. You say something that by signing, you are saying that something is correct. If you have not checked it and if something goes wrong, you will be in great trouble. So always make sure that when you're putting your signature, you have read it, you know what it is, and you sign it. Okay. Clause 6 is I hope you all have the Code of Ethics with you. You can download it from the our website, because this now I can't see this part. I'm going to read from the website, right? Clause 6 is, engineers shall apply their skills and knowledge in the interest of their employer or client for whom they shall act in professional matters as faithful agents or trustees, so far as they do not conflict with other requirements listed here and the general public interest. So clause 6 is about loyalty, right? Loyalty to your employer or the client, whichever the role that you're playing, right? You have to be loyal to your employer or the client as long as it is not conflicting with other requirements that we'll be talking about and the general public interest, right? So now general public interest takes precedence, takes priority, right? So if your employer or your client is telling you to do something that you know as something that is going to affect the public, whistleblowing is the one that really takes precedence, right? That comes in the first clause. Remember, whistleblowing. Yeah, you have to inform that this is going to happen. But if it is not like that, if it is something that is not having an impact on the public or the health and welfare of the public or the environment, then you will be expected to be loyal to your client or your employer, whoever is for whom you are actually working. So 6.1 is, shall at all times avoid all known or potential conflicts of interest that involve the engineer himself. They should keep their employers or clients fully informed on all matters, including financial interests, which could lead to such a conflict, and under no circumstances should they participate in any decision which could involve them in conflict of interest. Say, if I think when you're looking at situations, I think this may become a bit more clear. So if there is something, say like I have a personal, say if you are going to buy something and then say buy some material, and my brother or my brother-in-law or someone is having a building material company or whatever, you have to declare your conflict of interest. You have to show that, you have to tell your employer that this is so and so's. As long as if it is the cheapest one or whatever, there's no harm in buying from there, but you should be loyal to your employer, right? 6.2 is, shall when acting as administrators of a contract be impartial between the parties in the interpretation of the contract. This requirement of impartiality shall not diminish the duty of engineers to apply their skill and knowledge in the interest of their employers or clients. Right, so here again, you should not hide facts when you're dealing with contracts. However, if you have some skills to, or some special skill or knowledge, that this can be done in a cheaper way or whatever. There's no harm in doing that, provided it doesn't contravene the conditions of contracts and all that, right? Those you should be impartial as far as the contracts are concerned, but within that conditions, you may be able to, you can actually help your employer or the client to gain additional fund, additional profits or whatever. Shall not accept compensation, financial or otherwise, from more than one party for services on the same project, unless the circumstances are fully disclosed and agreed to by all interested parties. So you sometimes, well, dealing with sometimes, dealing with contracts and all that for procurement. There may be situations where you can get payment from both sides, right? That is not correct. So that should be avoided. Unless if if you are say like the agent for some product, you may get commission, which is no, that's not what is meant here. You should not be getting bribes or whatever from both parties to promote the product. Next one is, shall neither solicit nor accept financial or other valuable consideration, including free engineering designs from material or equipment suppliers for specifying their product. Now, I think, especially if you're in government service, this is something that you have to be very wary about. They give you trips, they give you free whatever. We will give you the design if you buy our product. That's not acceptable, because you have to do your own design and make sure that you are getting the best for your employer. Bribery again. Shall neither solicit nor accept gratuities directly or indirectly from contractors or their agents or other parties dealing with their clients or employers in connection with work for which they are responsible. Then corruption. Shall not accept a commission, fee, reward, or other benefit from a third party while advising a client, right? 6.7, conviction. You have to be convinced that you are doing the right thing. Shall advise their clients or employers when, as a result of their studies, they believe that a project will not be viable, right? As an expert in your own field, you know that if it's done the way that the client is expecting, it will not be viable, then you have to come out with it. Just because he is paying you money and it's his money and not mine, that's not acceptable to, you might get paid, but then that's not the deciding factor. If you know that your conscience has to be clear that what you're advising on is actually viable for the client. Shall neither disclose nor use confidential information gained in the course of their employment without express permission, except where public interest and safety are involved. Now, 6.8 here is talking about not giving out information pertaining to your work, right? Because if there's any confidential information, you are loyal to the client to, or your employer to safeguard that information. Look at the last one. Except where public interest and safety are involved. So if this is happening, you have to go back to the whistleblowing, right? You should not do it just because your loyalty to the employer should not prevent you from giving out information if it is going to be of detrimental impact on the public or safety, right? Confidentiality should be maintained except where public interest and safety are involved, right? Remember this, right? It's important how you get your priorities right. The public, top priority is the public safety, health, and public interest. Okay? 6.9 shall not complete, sign, or seal designs and or specifications that are not safe to the public health, welfare, and in conformity with accepted engineering standards. If the client or employer insists on such unprofessional conduct, they shall notify the proper authorities and withdraw from further service on the project. Again, see our commitment to the public interest, public welfare, public safety, public health takes priority, right? If you can't convince your employer, however loyal you can, you have to be loyal to him, but then if he's not listening to you, best thing for you to do is to get out of the situation, because you should not get entangled in a project which you know is going to be having an impact on the public, right? So that's clause 6 is about loyalty to the employer. Then clause 7 is engineers shall give evidence, express opinions, or make statements in an objective and truthful manner. Right? So when you're asked to say, give an opinion or make a statement on something that you have been doing or you are involved with, be truthful. You have to be truthful. And you should give the accurate information. Engineers' professional report, statements, or testimony before any tribunal shall be objective, and such opinions shall be expressed only on the basis of adequate knowledge and technical competence in the area. But this does not preclude a considered judgment based intuitively on experience and wide relevant knowledge. Right. So sometimes you may not have the time to do all the tests and then come out with a interpretation. So in such a situation, you may use your judgment, right? Sound judgment. If you have the experience and you know that you can express it, but not just because someone else is saying something or you read on social media or something, that you should not do that. You have to be convinced of what you're saying, and it should be precise, good communication, right? 7.2 is about honesty. Engineers shall reveal the existence of any interest, pecuniary, that means money, right? Pecuniary means financial, or otherwise, that could be taken to affect their judgment in technical matter about which they are making a statement or giving evidence. So basically, they should be honest about what they're saying. They should not be prejudiced by some other interest. Clause 8, the last one, is about engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers and shall actively assist and encourage engineers under their direction to advance their knowledge and experience. Okay, so this is about CPD, not only for yourself, but also encourage the juniors who are working under you, your subordinates, also to get the required continuing professional development, right? Shall encourage the professional employees and subordinates to further their education and shall take a positive interest in and encourage their fellow engineers actively to support the institution and other bodies which further the general interest of the profession involvement. Right. So that's the last clause about CPD as well as working with the professional body for the furtherance of the profession. Right. So those are the 8 clauses and the rules under them. Are there any questions now? Or shall I go ahead? Everyone sleeping? Chat. What does it say? Can you
keep
please
in mind to keep in mind both when we answer the
I'm sorry, I can't. It's not very clear. Are you talking about this? Can you please explain 4
when
point?
when we answer in the questions,
Mm-hmm.
do we need to keep in mind the clauses and mention the clause in the answer?
Yes. You don't have to get, remember word by word, but as I said,
You had a rough idea, that's enough, no?
well, an idea. Rough, how rough it is depends on the, I'll come to that. Before that, there was a question about 4.9. I'll come back to you, whoever it was. 4.9, let's see what that was. Intellectual property rights, say there, IPR. This is what was the question. Can you, this was there in the chat box. Can you tell me what you really need to know about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. What is it that you need to know about it? What intellectual property rights are, is it?
I don't have like idea of that.
Okay, intellectual property rights, that is if someone else has developed something and if you want to use it, you should not be just using it as your own. So the property belongs to them. Hopefully they have registered them as their own product with a patent and all that. Even if not, you mustn't just use it as without acknowledging, without giving them. Sometimes you may have to pay something to get whatever, or you have to get a statement from them or something like that. If you can't just copy something from someone without considering that it belongs to them. That's basically what it is, IPR, intellectual property rights. So if it is
Madam, what is the difference between 4.7 and 4.9? Both are saying same, right?
4.8
4.7.
and 9,
4.7 and 4.9. Both are saying same meaning.
proper credit for professional work to those whom credit is due.
Oh, yeah. And the intellectual properties. Both are same, right? Acknowledging others' work, right?
Acknowledging,
I don't know. I understand that.
this acknowledgement is something not legally binding. if it's intellectual property rights, that is more legal. Intellectual property rights it's actually something that belongs to another person. This is professional work. Someone has done work for you, you should acknowledge them, say like, I get something done by a junior engineer, and I should not be claiming credit for that. That sort of thing is 4.7. Acknowledge that so-and-so did it, and either as a team or whatever. That is acknowledgement. Not after getting some work done from a junior or someone else, you should not pretend that it's your work. 4.7 is that. 4.9 is someone has actually may either produced something or written something or done something that, that is actually belongs to it. That it's like copyright. Intellectual property rights is more serious, more legally binding than just acknowledging. I'm not 100%. Intellectual property rights, I'm not I'm not competent to give a very good explanation about it, but I know that IP rights are being violated, and you can take legal action if someone is using something that has been developed by another person. That person can go to courts. Whereas acknowledgement is something that is more unofficial and informal. 4.7 is more informal. 4.9 is formal. Okay. Both are about acknowledgement, but one is more serious, IP rights. Okay, so that's that, and maybe you can Google or you can use AI to ask some questions to clarify it. These days, knowledge is available. If you want to know something, it's always accessible, right? So please go ahead. Then the other question was about, what was that last question? I said I'll answer after that. Whether you had to remember everything, either. Yeah, so in summary, I have just written, if it'll be useful to at least commit this to memory. The 8 clauses, right? One is concerned about the people, second one is concerned about uphold the honor of the profession. Third one is be committed to sustainability. Fourth one is develop reputation through own achievements. Fifth one is practice only in area of specialization. 6 is be loyal to employers. 7, be truthful in reporting. And 7 is be involved in lifelong learning. This is not too hard to remember, right? Remember this slide. Okay? Whoever was asking me, they had to remember everything. I know as engineers, we hate memorizing, but, get this into your head. And I'll be sharing this presentation. Okay, so that is about the IESL Code of Ethics. And as you all must be aware, we have to register in the Engineering Council Sri Lanka to practice engineering, right? Whether you like it or not, now that's a requirement. It's a legal requirement that Engineering Council Sri Lanka was formed in 2018. And after the formation, it was formed to, so these are the objectives of the Engineering Council: maintenance of professional standards and conduct of engineering practitioners, registration of different categories of engineering practitioners, and to provide for matters connected with therewith or incidental thereto. I just took this directly from their website. I was the president of IESL when this happened, actually, and I had a hard time. Anyway, so it's now established, okay? So we have all engineers are expected to, not only engineers, so they have the registers for chartered engineers, associate engineers, that you all must be associate engineers, I believe, registered. Affiliate engineers, those who are having affiliate membership are registered affiliate engineers. Incorporated engineers, this is the those who are members of the Institute of IESL, Institute of Incorporated Engineers. Then engineering diplomates, those with the engineering diplomas like NDT, NDES, there are several other diplomas, and engineering technicians. So these 6 categories are registered at the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka. So IESL sends the lists of these 3: affiliate engineer, associate engineer, and chartered engineer. The lists are supplied by the IESL from those who have the qualifications and are members as either affiliate member, associate member, or chartered engineer or corporate member. And those who pay that, I think they charge 1,000 rupees or something for the registration. So the list goes from IESL, right? So they also have they don't call it code of ethics. It says engineering profession has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. General public therefore expect all members of this profession to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers require honesty, dependability, impartiality, fairness, and equity. They must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare in all their professional acts. They must perform under a standard of professional behavior that requires adherence to the highest principles of ethical conduct. Right, so they also have a code, they don't call it a code of ethics, code of conduct, right? And it has 6 clauses. And it says all engineering professionals, while in discharge of their professional duties, shall uphold the highest standards of professional conduct, including honesty, integrity, fairness, reliability, and trustworthiness. So the professional, our second clause is there. Then hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and act with concern to minimize adverse effects on the environment in the applications of engineering technical solutions. Right, so that is our 1. Our clause 1 comes here as clause 2. Then 3, perform professional services only in the areas of their competence while accepting responsibility for their professional advice, decisions, and activities. So that is about the competence. That's, I think, our Clause 5. Avoid all conduct or practice that deceives the public or their employer and not be influenced in their professional discharge of duties by conflict of interest. So that again is there somewhere in our and issue public statements, professional reports, or testimony only in an objective and truthful manner. Include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony. Right, so that is also there in our code of ethics. So if you now we are supposed to know about professional codes of ethics, right? Not only IESL. So what I have done is actually I have taken this acknowledging Engineer Russell Dizilla. I got it from his presentation. So he has actually done this. The focus areas that I had in my slide, summary slide, the focus areas, 8 focus areas of IESL Code of Ethics. And he has tried to compare, if you actually listen to his presentation, it's very good. He is giving descriptions of each of these, right, in his presentation. But I didn't take it up because it's so clearly given there. I don't want to repeat, but I took this slide because it summarizes the everything that is there, right? So IESL Code of Ethics, these are the 8 clauses that we have. He has tried to see how the other, this is the European one. I can't remember the long form of that. PIANI is the European code, right? Yeah. Then ICE, Institute of Civil Engineers, UK, Engineers Australia, IEEE, and American Society of Civil Engineers. These are both the US ones. Right. So he has tried to see how our code matches the other codes, other international codes, right? So the first one is there in all the codes. That's the second one is not there in all, but most of them. Third one about sustainability is there again in all the codes. Own achievements, marketing ourselves on our own achievements, it's there in our one as well as the American Society of Civil Engineers, but it's not there in the others. Then specialization, working only in specialization, our own specialized areas is there in all. Then loyalty to our employer is there in IESL as well as the FIANI, that's the European one, Engineers Australia, and IEEE. Truthfulness, it's not that these people are not concerned about truthfulness. It's not, apparently it's not stated specifically as a clause, right? So that is stated in IESL, FIANI, Engineers Australia, and IEEE. And lifelong learning is there in all. Right, so if you can see the pink rows are the ones that are having those are the very critical high priority clauses that are common to all, I mean, not all, but so many of the international engineering professional bodies, right? So about the public safety, health and welfare, and sustainability, specialization, practicing in our own specialization, and lifelong learning. So you can say that, you know, those are the common areas for any professional body to have, right? Among others. Then, of course, what I did was I tried to see how the Engineering Council Code of Conduct matches with these. Honor of the profession comes as the first one in the ECSL. Second one in the ECSL is about the public health and safety. Then ECSL third one is about specialization. Fourth one is about loyalty. Fifth one is about own achievements. Sixth one is about truthfulness. So that's the Engineering Council summary of the Engineering Council clauses, the 6 clauses. Of course, there is something about environment, but not pronounced as not taken out as a clause. It was there in the second one here, hidden into. That's how it was actually even in the earlier IESL Code of Ethics. We took it out because of the importance. They haven't done that, right? So now, looking at this, one thing is, as I said, to be registered in the Engineering Council Sri Lanka, you have to be a member of the IESL. For those 3 categories, affiliate member, associate member, and chartered member, right? So if you are already a member of IESL, you have to abide by these all 8 codes anyway, right? So having this less number of clauses and not having some of these very important nouns, so you can see that sustainability is not here. I don't know why. This is there, specialization, working in specialization is there. Lifelong learning is not there. Now, those are very important ones that are there in most professional bodies. But somehow ECSL does not have it. However, because to be registered in the ECSL, you have to be in the IESL. What do you think? Is there a conflict? Now I need you to say something. Can you unmute and say something? What do you feel about these 2? Is there a conflict? You are a member of IESL and registered in the ECSL. Code of Ethics has different clauses. Abdullah, yes, please say something.
Yeah, in the ECSL, even the technician can register in the ECSL, but the IESL is only engineers can register.
Yes. So now, an engineer now, as an associate engineer, I believe at this point, Abdullah, you are registered in the ECSL and you are a member of IESL. Now there are two codes of ethics that you have to abide by. Is there a conflict? Do you think there is a conflict?
No, madam. Both are in under the IES Institute of Engineers in Sri Lanka. No? Therefore, there is no any conflict of interest because both are conducted by same institute and ECSL also.
Really? No. ECL is not conducted by the IESL. IESL sends some members. There are other outside members also. If you have a look at the ECSL, their website is quite good. Some of the members of ECSL are from IESL. My question is now you are a member of IESL, therefore you are having this code of ethics, right? It has 8 clauses. You are already a member of IESL, so you have to abide by the 8 clauses. But there are only 6 here. Does it matter to you?
No. You know, madam, even if you follow 8 codes, it's better. Even following 6 is
Yeah, it's great.
as an engineer, we are having 8 codes.
Yes.
From
So
ECSL side,
so this is a subset of this, right? This is only a part of this, but we are already following all. We have to already follow this. So having this 6 is not really a problem for us, ne? If you are following this, we are already following this. So you don't have to, I mean, you are, if you are following the 8 clauses here, you are already following the 6 clauses here. So you don't have to worry about it being less. However, I think it's important that they include at least these 2 essential, lifelong learning and sustainability should be included in them. And also, I don't know why they have not done it, because those are really very important aspects of our profession, right? But as I think I agree with you, when you say that since we are already IESL engineers, there's no conflict, because we are already doing everything that they want us to do. Right? Agreed? Okay. So now this again I took from Engineer Russell Rizila's presentation. The great liability of the engineer compared to men of other professions is that his works are out in the open where all can see them. His acts, step by step, are in hard substance. He cannot bury his mistakes in the grave like the doctors. He cannot argue them into thin air or blame the judge like the lawyers. He cannot, like the architects, cover his failures with trees and vines. He cannot, like the politicians, screen his shortcomings by blaming his opponents and hope the people will forget. The engineer simply cannot deny he did it. If his work do not work, he is damned. So this is Herbert Hoover is there. You have heard of the Hoover Dam and all that. He was a very development focused president of USA. So, well, it shows that how responsible we have to be about the work that we are doing. And that's why the code of ethics is very important. We know we have to abide by the standards. We have to look after the public interest and all that. So I hope that gave some idea about the responsibility of engineers in the carrying out of our work. I also have this. What time is it? Are we running late? 7:35. We can do this, right? Unless if you have any questions, do you have any questions that need to be discussed? Okay, shall I go ahead then? So this is something that I have been giving my students, university students. So this is now these are dilemma situations that hopefully will give a bit of insight into how to use the code of ethics. Now, so this first situation is a road going through a town needs to be widened to reduce the traffic congestion during peak hours. You have done the design to increase the traffic speed by 50%, and the new alignment requires the acquisition of land in order to provide the required curvature. When the standard design code of practice is used, the curvature of a bend has to be reduced. Thus, acquisition has to be more on one side of the road. Some houses will also be damaged due to the project, right? Common thing that happens, isn't it? Now I have some questions. Actually, these are MCQ questions that I've been giving. I want you to answer. How can you do it? Can you put it in the chat box? So the first question is, people of the area have complained to their politician that the engineer has not done the design properly, as they feel that the acquisition should be equal on both sides of the existing road. And the politician insists that you change the design to accommodate the people's request. Which course of action will you take? I have given 4 answers, right? Change the alignment to satisfy the people's request as you are concerned about the people. Now this, at the back of your mind, you must have the code of ethics now, right? Because you are an engineer, you have to work according to a code of ethics. Now, change the alignment to satisfy the people's request as you are concerned about the people. Request your employer for a transfer as the pressure is too much to maintain the correct design. Change your design calculations not considered in the code of practice and give a different alignment. Discuss with your employer and call a meeting with the politician and the affected people and explain the reasons for the design and convince them to accept the new alignment. What would you do? Oh, why can't I see that? Oh, great. You're giving me the answers. Wonderful. Yeah, it is E. Okay, thank you. So because I mean you're concerned about the people, all right, but then you're an engineer, you have to work according to the conviction, according to the standards and all that, right? And people obviously I mean they are thinking that a road being widened should be equal on both sides, but you have a reason for that. You explain the reason and most likely the people will accept it. Okay. Second question is, at the time of preparing the specifications for the materials for the construction, you find that a supplier is contacting you to influence you to write the specifications according to the materials that they have, and they promise to take you to their factory in China to show you their material production systems. However, you know that the quality of work would be better and the durability will be much better if your specifications are higher. What will you do? You will go and inspect their factory and write the specifications according to their product. You will not listen to them, but will write the specifications for the best available materials. You will write the specifications according to their product, but will postpone the visit until after the contract is awarded. You will write the specifications according to their product, but will not accept the foreign trip. What will you do? Okay, can I have the Okay. Okay, so most of you are giving the answer T as correct. There was one that said V. Looking at it again, T says you will not listen to them, but will write the specifications for the best available materials. As an engineer responsible for the design, I also believe that that's what you should be doing. Now sorry. So I saw one has written V, you will write the specification according to their product, but will not accept the foreign trip. That's weakening your stand. I don't think that's good, because you know, I have given you that. However, you know that the quality of work would be better and the durability will be much better if your specifications are higher, right? So you are compromising on that by doing that lowering your specifications, right? So that's not the way you should be doing it. Let them say what they want. Forget about a trip. But you have to stand by the engineering code of ethics, right? Okay, the next one. At the time of evaluation of bids, there are several bids that satisfy the specifications, what are called responsive bids. The lowest responsive bid is from a party which is not on good terms with the minister. As the chairperson of the technical evaluation committee, you have to write the tech report and make a recommendation for the selection of the contractor. There is pressure from the minister not to select the lowest responsive bidder. Now, this is actually something that happened to a very close person of mine, right? When they're not on good terms, sometimes the ministers don't want to give a project to the most responsive bidder. You will recommend the second lowest bid because you know that the work will get delayed if you recommend the lowest bid, as the ministry will not accept the tech recommendation due to political pressure. Right? There's a point there. You will write the tech report very carefully, spelling out all the details and recommend the lowest responsive bidder in spite of the political pressure, even though there will be delays and you may face unfavorable consequences. You will avoid the situation by reporting sick. You will contact the second lowest bidder and tell them to submit a revised bid lower than the lowest responsive bid so that you can recommend it and get the job done without delay. So here you want to satisfy the minister by selecting the second lowest bidder. Here you are worried that the work will get delayed because minister will influence the decision and the work will not get done or will get delayed. Here you don't worry about the minister. You carry out your duties as you should. Here you avoid the situation by reporting sick. Okay, you have 14. H. Right. Yeah, so it is H. You should not be bending your decisions based on political pressure. Right? So, because we have to work with our conscience. Right. So that's H. Okay, thank you. Next one. When the construction is ongoing, you realize that there is a funeral house by the roadside and the road widening activities will be a hindrance to the funeral proceedings. If you stop the construction activities, there will be a delay in the work schedule and you will be questioned by your superior officers. You will continue the construction without stopping any activities as it is your duty to complete the work on schedule. You will speak to the family and apologize, but continue the construction work because you need to meet the deadline. You will change your program slightly so that the construction in that part of the road is temporarily stopped until the funeral activities are over. You will inform your boss that the work has to be stopped and request for an extension because of the funeral. What would you do? Yeah. I agree with I. Someone says H. Well, it's a H is not totally unacceptable. However, it's good if you can accommodate the people, the public. G is not good. H, maybe. I would go with I. Right? Yeah, a few have said H. Well, it's what do you say? I mean, if you do H, if you can do I think it's better. You will not you will not hopefully lose time, but you will be accommodating the people of the area also. So I think between H and I, if I may be better, right? But H is, you can't say H is unethical. Okay, let's question 5. Construction involves cutting a deep trench along the boundary of a house. The site conditions show that the shoring provided in the design is not sufficient to support the excavation. If you provide additional support, the cost and time will overrun. If you provide the shoring as specified, your judgment says that there will be a danger to the workers as well as the adjoining private property. This is actually a real ethical dilemma because are you going to go by the drawings or are you going to use your judgment and face consequences? You decide to carry out the work as specified as it is your duty. You warn your workers and the owners of the adjoining property and carry out the work as specified. You consult your senior engineer and get authorization for a deviation. You provide additional support as your prime concern is safety of the people. What would you do? Okay, so I can see that the answers are between C and D, right? More C's than D now. I also go with C because you consult your senior engineer and get authorization for a deviation. Otherwise, you are taking on an unnecessary burden, financial burden on yourself, which you may have to, face the consequences. It will be better for you to actually consult your senior engineer and get authorization for a deviation without taking the burden onto yourself. Okay? So C would be the one that I would go with. A batch of material that is supplied does not conform to the specification. You will negotiate with the supplier for a lower price and accept the material, as there will be a saving of public funds. You will accept the material anyway, because if the project gets delayed, you will be blamed. You will accept the material and pay for it, but will not use it as you know that the quality of work will be affected. You will reject the batch, giving reasons, and insist on the supplier providing the material of correct specifications or recall for quotations. What would you do? I think this D is a mistake because there's no D here. Yeah, so it's all S. You will reject the batch giving reasons and insist on the supplier providing the material of correct specifications or recall for quotations. Right? So, because we have to maintain the standards. Right. So that's it. I think you have gathered the essence of the ethics, IESL Code of Ethics. There's another one, if you are interested, we can do it. Shall we? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Whoever is interested can continue. A large supermarket is being built in the city, and the owner is a close relative of the local member of parliament, who is a powerful minister in the government. The electrical wiring has been done by the contractor, and you, as the chartered engineer, have to certify that the wiring has been done according to the standards. So the first question is, a contractor is being pressurized by the owner to hand over the building in a very soon, as the supermarket has to be opened before Christmas season. And he wants you to check everything and submit the report within a day. However, you know that it will take you at least 3 days to perform the necessary checks and give the clearance for the electrical system, as it is a very large and complicated system. The contractor offers to pay you extra if you skip some of the tests and give the report in time, and promises to attend to any shortcomings afterwards. What would you do? You will give the report because the contractor promised to attend to the shortcomings afterwards. You will give the report and accept the extra payment, as you have to be loyal to your employer. You will not give the report because the contractor may not give you the extra payment after receiving the report. You will not give the report because you are not satisfied with the work done, as you can see several safety issues in the building wiring. Yeah, E. Okay. Next one is, you can see that the equipment used are not according to the standard specification. However, the cost of the system will increase by about 100% if the superior quality equipment are used. The contractor is not willing to change the equipment because he wants to quote low prices and get the jobs. He says that he is expecting many government contracts through the businessman's relationship to the minister. You will accept his reason and pass the wiring system. You will not accept his reasoning and not pass the wiring system until the correct equipment is installed, at least for the safety critical ones. You will pass the wiring system because you think it may be all right, even though the specifications are not met. You will pass a wiring system because you cannot do anything as everything is already completed. Okay, yeah. It's T, right? Third one, the contractor has used an air conditioning system that is very inefficient because he has got it at a cheap rate. You know that the electricity consumption will be much higher than what it would be if a more efficient cooling system is used. You will not make any comment about it as there is no safety issue and the wiring system is not wrong. You will report on this matter as there will be wastage of energy, thus creating a burden on the country's energy supply. You will not report about it because the initial cost will be low. You will not report about it because the electricity bill will be paid by those who will be running the businesses in the building complex. What will you do ethically? 11 answers already. Yeah. H, yeah. Because sustainability is one of the main aspects of focus areas of our ethics, right? So it's good. Then you will find that the lighting level provided within the supermarket is too bright. You will not report on this as it is not within your scope of work. You will not report on this as it is better to have bright lights in a supermarket. You will report on this as the electricity consumption can be reduced by lowering the lux levels. You will report on this because the lighting level will affect the comfort of the public. See with this I or J. I think some have said I, some have said J. I would go with I because your concern for the electricity bill, also for the public comfort is there, but then you will be more concerned about sustainability, the energy consumption. Right? So I would go with I. Next one, you are a mechanical engineer, but you were requested to sign the papers by the contractor because he is your friend. You will sign the papers because he is your friend. You will sign the papers as you have some knowledge about electrical wiring systems. You will get a friend who is an electrical engineer to check and sign the papers. You will refuse to sign the papers as you are not an electrical engineer. What would you do? Yeah, C. Yeah, it's C and C or D, but I would go with C because the engineer, you have a friend who is an electrical engineer to check and sign. You're not signing after he checks. So electrical engineer to check and sign the papers, that will be the best if you can find someone, isn't it? You will refuse to sign the papers as you are not an electrical engineer. That's okay. That's what you would do if you can't do C, I guess, right? So among these 4 options, I would go for C. Because you are not doing it, you are not signing. You should not be signing it, right? So some had C, some had D. I would go with C. Okay, the last one. You realize that there's a major safety issue in the wiring diagram that has been provided by the consultant. The consultant who has signed the drawing is a reputed electrical engineer. He seems to, according to you, he has not done the work properly. You will ignore the problem as you feel it is unethical to find fault with another professional engineer. You will not report the fault as you have to only look at the contractor's work, and this is the fault of the consultant. You will ignore it because the chartered engineer who signed the drawing is senior to you. You will report about the design fault as it is a safety concern that would affect the public. What would you do? Yeah. Yes. So this is about whistleblowing, right? So it will affect the public. So you have to inform the authorities that it's not done properly, right? Although he's a senior engineer, people make mistakes. And if the result is going to be causing safety issue for the public, you should not keep quiet, right? So okay, so it looks like you all are all set to go. Right, so actually now you all didn't know it, but I had it, so that the answers are ETHICS, ethics. You may have, I don't know whether you had tried to look at the numbering of the answers, they were very odd. See, A, B, C, D, and then before that G, H, I, J. I wanted to, actually because it was given to a class with a lot of students, I gave this quiz and then I wanted them to mark it themselves, and whatever, it's easy to, I had several, for the civil, mechanical, electrical, there were several question papers, but all had the same answer sequence, so that anyone, I mean, ETHICS were the answers for the questions. So it went off well. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions that you would like, or anything to discuss?
Ma'am, I have one question.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's say if someone is taking bribery for approving lower specification material,
Mm-hmm.
then we talk about bribery in several sections, and also it violate conflict of interest, and also it violate honor of the engineering. Likewise, is it integrated with many ethics? If one violated, many ethics violated?
Can happen, no? Can happen. Bribery, I mean, you may need to go into the details of how the bribe is taken if you really want to say, assign it to another clauses. But as long as it's bribery, I don't think it's not only, I mean, it's legally also punishable. So in whatever form it is given, it's wrong, I think. I mean, if you want to go into the details of where it fits in, you have to look at the situation, circumstances, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, there's some confusion where to put it in, but I don't think that matters as far as professional ethics are concerned. Bribery is bad.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
This is a question. Sorry. Okay, it's been a long day for you all. Must be after work. I hope this was of some use to you all. And as all of us know, I mean, ethics are something very, very important that it has to be, I mean, you can't. Any questions here, Nanny? It can't be tested in one question in an exam, right? And there's no point testing like that. It's something that has to be within, I mean, inbuilt in you as a professional. These things that are coming up. If there's a question, please ask, because I can see there are some, I believe these are answers in the text box. Has someone written something in the text box? Chat box, sorry. Anyway, so code of ethics is something that has to be, you know, in our system, right? And by doing an exam, what we are trying to do is actually to make sure that you are aware of the responsibilities as a engineer, and just, you know, in 2 or 3 days time, you'll have the exam, and something that should not be forgotten after the exam. It's just a starting point, right? Wherever you are working as an engineer, you will be faced with so many dilemmas. So keep this as something to fall back on. So, you know, you have the code of ethics, and this is how we should be tackling situations. Okay? And hope everyone will pass the exam, and wish you all the very best. And let's not end it there. Let it be the beginning, and of course, lifelong learning and things like that. Those are opportunities are there for you to continue your professional development and sustainability. These are things that you can't just learn and forget. Those will be your bread and butter, right? So wish you all the very best for the exam and your future career, wherever you are destined to go. Working as an engineer. And okay, on the 28th, I think you have the exam. Let's see. Good set of answer scripts.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Wish you all the best. Shall we call it a day then?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And I think, I don't know whether the recording will be available to you. You better check with the membership division. And the presentation I have shared with them. You can request for that. Okay. Main thing is to get it into yourself as a, you know, get the exam over and done with. After that, keep it as part of yourself. Good night.